going to give you a quick demo of our CTN Network website, ctnnetwork.net. Join our community. It is free. You just type in ctnnetwork.net, and this is the homepage right here. And if you want to create an account, you would just click up here and create new account right here. Sign up with your email, or you can sign up with just clicking on Facebook or Google. So you can sign up with your Facebook account or your Gmail. So I'm already signed up, so I'm going to click in Gmail right here, and it's going to log me in. And as you can see, this is our homepage. Click on creators right here, and this shows you all the CTN family members that are content creators. Everybody is on here. If you want to go to one of their YouTube channels, for example, if you want to go to Crypto Talk Now, just click on channel, and it takes you right over to the YouTube channel for that particular creator. And you click on community. This is our community right here. We do have a forum, and this is a forum where you can post things, you can interact with one another. And there's also a blog right over here that we post our own content on. And if you click on CTN Studios, you can watch our live show and other content creators' live shows right through this CTN Studios. We do have advertisements for some of the content creators. There's the Crypto Smith, there's Waddy, the Crypto Hunter, and we also have live charts for the ISOs right in this box right here. We have a feature where you click on the heart if you want to donate to us. You can donate with Ethereum or Binance, BNB. And also, if you click on this button right here, we're going to have a call-in feature, which is already live. If you want to call us, just click on the green icon, the green phone icon, and click on call now. And during the show, between 9:15 and 10, when we announce it, when Max is on or when I'm on with Max, we will start accepting phone calls, and you guys can be live with the show. If you want to turn your video on, you can come on camera as well. So good stuff there. Now back onto the homepage. If you click on members, you can see all the people that are members here. All these people here, like Chaka just signed up, Gills33, Miguel. All these people here are members of our community. So you guys can sign up, and then you can chat with one another. So you can either click over here, message right here. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm just going to welcome him. I'll send him a quick message, and then I can click enter or just a little arrow. If you want to message somebody else, you can click on message, or you can go right over here into members chat and go ahead and message them and create a new chat if you want by clicking this little button right here. Now also, if you scroll down here, you can see some of the past videos that our content creators in our content creator family have created. You can go in here and watch some of the recorded videos. They're scrolling down here. Just choose one to watch. And that's it, guys. Thank you for watching this brief demo. Make sure you sign up so you can interact and be part of the community when we are not on the live show.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here with you guys tonight. Go Suns. Let's go ahead and welcome some of you guys before we get into the outline that we have for tonight. So with that said, I saw some great comments, but I'm going to start things off before I get into the super chat, because why not? Tim Shea, who says, hey, thank you again for being here, Mr. Tim Shea, the crypto commissioner, the mayor of crypto, representing the 589th district of the XRP Army. Thank you for being here. All right. Here's the super chat. Thank you again from Mr. Henry Brown. He states, what up, crypto family? What would it mean if both Coinbase and Ripple left the U.S., since the U.S. is dragging their feet, plus other nations are tired? So for me personally, and I know you're asking everybody this, but just for me personally, there's going to be a certain amount of people who are going to state, oh man, this is the United States going backwards, I guess you could say, and so on. But as far as the actual projects, well, not having to get that stranglehold on them and so on. So is it a catch-22? I don't know. But my main thing is you definitely see a trend of things going that way. It's not just one organization talking about, or hinting, of that. You see more than just a couple. So does that mean they could be like, a Twitter bird, for instance, they could just fly free, right? Where it doesn't have, it's not in a cage or have to worry about, likes of Gary Gensler and so on. Well, yeah. But in reality, my thing is, what country are they going to pick? And, especially Coinbase. I know you mentioned Ripple, but like we mentioned a few days ago, how about Coinbase, and LCX, that partnership and so on. Do they choose Liechtenstein? I don't know. I don't know, what is the requirements in order to do something like that with LCX, but it would be really interesting to find out. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Mr. Henry Brown. I did go ahead and retweet one of your articles. On top of that, we're going to get into some of the headline of what you posted a few minutes ago. All right. I also want to welcome Sobo. Good to see you, Sobo. I haven't seen you the last couple nights, but I'm sure you're busy, like a busy bee. And glad to have you here. I think you also watched some of the replays, so that's cool stuff. Glad to have you here, Sobo. All right. Stargazer, welcome. Says hello, Sobo. Hello, all, or hi, all. I guess you're a bit early tonight. Yeah. All right. Brittany's back. She says happy Tuesday. Happy Taco Tuesday, everybody. I'm not going to have any Taco Tuesday today, but that's okay. We're going to go further down and going to welcome Mr. Ahmed with one of the best avatars out there, in my opinion. All right. Welcome back. Jean Guise, welcome back. Glad to have you. Nelly there. Saw some of your comments on Jasmine. Thank you for that. As far as last night's extremely long deep dive, that's going to take a while for me to put it in recorded format. But yeah, glad to have gotten into, everything about the, Jasmine secured PC, some of the key players, it was quite the deep dive. All right. Let me just double check the other screen real quick. Make sure that we're all in sync. I think we are. All right. We are. All right. Nelly there, though. Yes. Thank you again for being here. John Geese says Jasmine is flying the max effect. I don't know about that, man. I mean, you got to keep in mind our channel. You don't get me wrong. On Twitter, yeah, I mean, I could put out a video and maybe it's like, 15,000 views or something like that. On, YouTube, maybe 4,000, which don't get me wrong. That's nice. Who isn't going to take that? I just, I'm not that big of a content creator yet. Maybe someday. And even with that said, I mean, like some other content creators have mentioned in the past, where there's like, I don't quote this guy often, but he is right on this. So like, remember Austin Hilton back in the day, Shiba Inu? He would say something like, when there was some big pumps, he was like, was it enough to thread the needle? Probably not, So I don't really think I have that much of an effect to that degree. But thank you. That was a nice compliment, but I just don't think that's the case, to be honest. What I do think might be the case is some of the things that have been released in regards to some of the recent news, right? And we'll get into a little bit of that. That's towards the end of the show. Last night was dominated by Jasmine. I don't want to, I get it. There's a certain amount of people who are like, man, I just want Jasmine news all the time. You also got to keep in mind, like, we also have other things we got to cover. So, to answer the question, today's show, 3 main headlines, because it's not going to be WrestleMania here tonight. It just can't be. Suns playing. They could wrap it up, advance the second round today. A lot of crazy things in NBA basketball. I just want to state for the record, right? Smash that like if you haven't done so already. So in the Western Conference, right? The way I look at it is the Warriors could very well beat the Kings, right? They're the 6th seed. They go and advance the second round. Lakers are gonna, in my opinion, probably gonna end up beating Memphis. So you're gonna have in the second round the 6th seed versus the 7th seed, right? Out east, oh my God, Jimmy Buckets, Jimmy Butler. Oh my goodness. I mean, that 8th seed might very well end up, advancing, right? Over the Bucks. So, man, it's this crazy time in NBA basketball. But with that said, yeah, I'm looking to, watch probably, at least the second half. I'll probably go like an hour and a half, 2 hours max, but no WrestleMania. That was last night, not tonight. All right, so let's go further down into the comments. I didn't see that there was another super chat that came in. My bad on that. Let's see. Let me get to it just a moment. Henry, welcome, Rand. He says he doesn't know why USA is terrified. Every step they make, there's a problem. They bleeding politics and now crypto. That almost seemed like a verse from Sting. I don't know why the USA is so terrified. Every step they make, there's a problem to take. They bleed in politics and now crypto. That don't rhyme. Never mind. All right. Henry Brown says, question on your gaming channel. DPG Max, this is the first time anybody asked about my gaming channel or this channel since you're fairly new. That's all right. Have you all done gaming videos where we freely talk about cryptos? No, that my gaming channel, it was not about that. My gaming channel was specifically focused on just gaming it up and giving strategies on how to do stuff like that. Battlefield 5 mainly, right? Like 90% of the videos were Battlefield 5, and the other 10% were like Call of Duty, Black Ops, Cold War. I think I did like one Vanguard video, so that's what that was about. And as far as my gaming friends, all of them, like, they think NFTs are just ridiculous. You know what I mean? That's just them. They're like, they don't see it, but obviously, it's just two different crowds. So, all right. Thank you for the $5 super chat, though, Mr. Henry Brown. That's $10 so far. You rock. Thank you. Appreciate your ongoing support, man. You rock. All right, I'm gonna go further down. Welcome a few more people. Obviously, before we kick it into the news, Nelly there says, hi, Max. Good day to you and the crew. Good day to you as well. I need this to be a good day. Freaking neighbor backed out and hit my car. I guess you could say I'm half at fault. He felt as though he was mainly at fault. But, it's just like, I guess I could have been more defensive. It was my first accident in like 6 years. And then before that, my streak was like 15 years with like nothing. So I kind of blame myself. 2 hours of sleep, right? That doesn't help. But in reality, I was ready going in the other direction. Like, I looked behind me. I even looked at the camera, all that stuff, right? And so, I'm not focused. And then out of nowhere, he backs up in the car. So I don't know. He's gonna make it right. He's my neighbor. He's a good guy, so I'm sure it'll be okay. But it's just like, great, another thing to worry about. Just didn't really help kind of start the day off, right? But anyway, that's none of you guys' problem. I don't even know why I'm sharing that. Sorry about that. All right, Ahmed says Franklin Templeton, first U.S. registered mutual fund to process transactions and record share ownership on Stellar blockchain. Yes, glad you're paying attention to that, Ahmed. That was some of the news we were going to share yesterday. After I was done covering everything, I was like, oh my gosh, if I covered this last night, for one, by that time, like, there's only, I don't know, 25 people or something like that, which, don't get me wrong, some shows like they would kill for that, but I was like, if I cover this, we're going to be going 6 hours, and I just didn't want to do that. I was just like, kind of getting burned out at that particular point. But guess what? That is the second part of our headlines for tonight. What else? What does it, Max? Get into it. Stop welcoming everybody, because I like welcoming you guys. All right. we are going to definitely talk about that. So don't worry about that. I did see that was some of the most recent news. So we're going to get to that. There's also, as a bonus, I have a recent from yesterday, I believe. Let me just double check this. Yep, 1 day ago, because I keep, I follow Stellar Development Foundation on YouTube. They had an interview with Danielle Dixon. So I already fast forward to some of that juicy stuff in regards to what she had to share. And that's also part of our Stellar lineup for tonight. So if you're looking for some Stellar news, cool stuff, right? Yeah. All right. We're going to go further down here into the comments. Mr. Cool Cat Crypto says, Max got that Suns hat on gangsta style tonight. In reality, I did try to fix that. I wasn't trying to make it gangsta style. He's talking about the thumbnail, right? So I was just like, you know what? I didn't want to like make a whole new pose and so on. So I was just like, let's make the hat on sideways and it shows part of the logo and so on. So that's all it really was about. I wasn't trying to, wear gangsta style and so on. Typically speaking, I only wear my hat 2 different ways. 95% of the time I wear it straight, just normal. Once in a while, like I'll wear it backwards. In reality, the only time I really wear it backwards is if my buddy's like pitching, and I'll turn the hat on backwards. I'll put a catcher's mask on, and I have a catcher's mask anyway. All right. Mike, welcome back. He says added to his Jasmine H-bar bags today. Nice. Very nice. Yeah, those are like, I don't know, man. Like literally, I don't know, man. I think I have to, you know what, guys? I think I'm gonna have to go and say this, just at least for the short term. Max has a new number 5, and it is Jasmine. So now it's like H-bar 6, or maybe, H-bar 6. LCX 7, but really those two are kind of like tied. Maybe some people don't want to hear that. That's just the way I look at it. I'm looking at it from like we were talking about earlier, the one that could get us there before some of the others. I could be wrong, I have the right to be wrong, but Jasmine's completely leapfrogged itself from just being in my top 20 to like my top 15, to the top 10. Yeah, I'm gonna rock with this. It's my number 5. Yeah. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, that's we all have a different type of number 5. Johnny 5, number 5, right? All right. I'm gonna welcome Mr. Coochie Boy as well. I also want to welcome KK. Sorry if I skipped over you guys. Glad to have you here. Maximus the Crypto Professor. Thank you very much. Unofficial title. I never gave myself that name, so I'm a humble person. I try to be at least. All right. Cool Cat Crypto says IBM meeting with the top people from BSV and N-Chain next week. Well, I'll tell you what, my friend. I got something in regards to that for you. All right. It's kind of like a blast from the past for what you're talking about. So, cool stuff. Roman Helmet with the great Shin Godzilla. He says, sup. Glad to have you here, man. Let's go further down. I didn't have a chance to talk to Larry today, but I'll let him know that you guys are definitely asking about him. He might even be here for all we know. Tim, busy buying more BSV. And KK says good picks. Mike, Jasmine, so on. Peanut butter, H-bar, like peanut butter and jelly. All right. Good to have you here. Stargazer, KK says, when Jasmine starts, it's going to go quickly. Good point. Here is Mr. Elon Muff. Welcome, Mr. Mike Cornwell. Yes, it's me. All right. And there's the Muff Man. The Muff Man. Wow. Another update for BSV from Cool Cat. He says, I'm sure the IBM BSV meeting next week is nothing, though. Don't even sweat it. Well, here's the thing. So when I saw your comments about it, I looked up something from the past. And I did just take a brief time to review it, when we were playing that little intro, just give me a little bit of time. And I was like, you know what? We'll save this. And if we have time, we'll definitely share it. We might not share the whole video because it's a pretty long one. But I'm sure you know the one I'm talking about. It's from like a few years back. But you know what? It was very educational. And it's interesting, right? Very interesting. Michael Montclair, welcome. Glad to have you here, man. And I'm going to read this from Stargazer. It says, geez, look what's running the country. An old man stricken with dementia. I know, it's sad. The doorknob. Oh, God. I'm not going to repeat that. Anyway, we need some young blood at the helm. That's true. All right. Wayne side, welcome. Has the bull run started? Surf's up. I stated that it has a while back. A lot of people that aren't with me in regards to that. And if anything, I'm going to do a recorded video. I was on the cusp of like, am I going to just make the whole, show about this, like bull run thesis part 7 or 8, where one I'm on. I was like, nah, some of you guys want to talk about some of this other stuff. We haven't covered like XDC and one for a while. So how about this, guys? We're going to jump into our outline because we need to. I'm thinking for the most part, we go maybe 2 hours max. So let's go ahead and jump right into some of the hot topics. All right. So shout out to the one and only Mr. Henry, who shared some of this earlier today on crypto Twitter. I'm going to share this with you guys. Please smash that like if you haven't done so already. Let's see how we're doing on the likes in a bit, but let's just jump to this right now. All right. So Henry shared this on crypto Twitter. And this is, this write-up from CoinDesk. Now, you may be wondering, like, what is this? Well, it's a nice way to kick things into the headlines and get the show started. Why? Because, like I mentioned, last week, the review was the whole topic of regulatory framework. And I think so far, going into this week, this is day 2, technically, of the work week. I'm still rocking with the theme of, all right, all these different industries talking about regulatory clarity. All right. So again, from CoinDesk, and this is printed today, so it's still pretty fresh. UK FCA wants to work with the crypto industry to develop regulation. According to this executive, the UK is consulting on new rules for the crypto sector. All right, so there's this particular lady, and this wasn't planned. There's something I want to point out, and again, maybe you guys already noticed it, okay? So draw your attention. This was not planned. This was not part of the lineup. Please pay attention to this real quick. There's something you need to focus on. KPMG. Why is that important? Do you know who worked for KPMG? Do you know who has still strong ties to KPMG? It's Hara of Jasmine. I just wanted to throw that out there. All right, let's get back into this outline. So, the UK's Financial Conduct Authority, which is called FCA, wants to work with crypto firms to shape regulation. I'm telling you guys flat out, man. Some people say like, Max, put on your tinfoil hat. I don't think I have to put on a tinfoil hat for this anymore, because there is so many darn coincidences when it came to last year, the run up towards where we're at now. And it's just like the ducks keep lining up in a row. There's just too many coincidences. So like, again, like I mentioned, one thing leads to another. One thing goes to the next step. The butterfly effect, if you will. I mean, you can't make this stuff up at this particular point, right? So anyway, yes, they want to work with crypto firms to shape regulation. All right. The UK has been looking to construct a new regime for crypto that is one-time symbol of alternative rebellion. And I don't know who it was in the comments yesterday. I don't know if it was Blackwood or, River. Somebody mentioned this, and they're like, basically like giving the SEC the bird, right? This was really late last night into WrestleMania, as Stardog would say. And that basically was like, finally, you have this whole concept of what? Like a coalition, or like it says here, a rebellion of organizations, or, committees, or whatever the heck you want to call it, coming together to construct, like it says, a new regime to fight the system of the suppression of just not, of innovation, basically, in a nutshell. Some people want to say, it's crypto, but in reality, it's innovation, right? It's like anybody that's, done a proper, done our proper research when it comes to all of this has come to the conclusion that, it's not about crypto. It's about like where we're going in Web3, where we're going as far as like embracing blockchain, distributed ledger technologies, and so on, right? All right, so look at this. It says the Treasury launched a crypto consultation where it's seeking feedback from stakeholders on how to regulate the sector. The FCA, excuse me, is one of the main crypto regulators in the country, along with the Treasury, and has been registering crypto firms to operate in the country. Excuse me. Gotta fix this darn chair sometimes. All right. So the consultation set out that the FCA may host a new authorization regime for crypto companies, including overseas companies, which is uncharted territory for them. Let's face it, it is. This guy Pritchard said, and it's also planning on launching a promotions regime for digital assets as well. So like two separate, I guess you could say, committees, right? Now look at this quote. He says, let's work together to shape our rules and regulations to benefit markets, consumers, and firms as crypto goes from niche, or as I would say, niche, to mainstream. Pritchard said, let us do it. Let us do it with our minds open to the potential gains and our eyes open to the risks. Now, with some of this talk, let's face it. I mean, some people are like, man, are they really starting to brew something up here? I mean, you've seen other content creators talking about like, something's brewing, right? A nice young lady, maybe you guys follow her, right? Her name is Miss Teen Crypto. She was featured recently. I don't know if you guys saw that, right? Shout out to her. She was actually on Fox News like a couple weeks ago. I gave her some congratulations. But anyway, even that narrative of what is brewing, literally those are the words being used, right? So it says the FCA is known for being critical of the crypto sector, a stance not helped by the fact that crypto received by illicit addresses hit a record high of 20.6 billion last year, according to Chainalysis, or the collapse of FTX. You could even add some of the other ones, right? It says out of the crypto applications the FCA got from firms looking to register with them, 195 were either refused or withdrew, Pritchard said. Only 41 crypto firms have managed to register, of course, with the FCA. However, in regards to the FCA, they also started listening to the crypto industry at its engagement meetings with the industry. Advocates basically have said. Now, what are they talking about as far as listening, right? So I'm going to pull this up for just a brief moment. And here is what they're referring to. This is something that happened all the way back in May 27th of 2022. And that is, again, in regards to this British regulatory agency. It says they were focused on digital asset information disclosure, custody, and other regulatory obligations. I'm not going to get into all of this, but if you're wondering specifically, like, well, what was the juicy part? It's stated right here. They explored how to handle disclosing information related to the issuance of crypto, like such as the assets, regulatory obligations, and even custody regulations, right? And that right there is pretty darn big. Like you can throw out some, or throw into it like some big organizations. Some people are obviously going to say something like, well, okay, BlackRock, something like that, right? We get it. So it says many digital asset company executives told CoinDesk, at least back then, they wanted to collaborate or have a collaborative approach that allowed for innovation. So this is something that they've been working on for, let's face it, that's almost a year, right? So here's some of those particular updates. And I meant to share this particular tab. That's where it's at, right? And again, this is this blast from the past that you see right here. All right, so thought I'd share that with you guys. Shout out to Henry in regards to that. We're going to kick it back into the comments just for a brief bit. And then after that, we're going to get into our outline in regards to XDC. And you may be thinking, well, why XDC? Some big things happened recently in regards to XDC. XDC takes the cake for our lineup tonight. Smash the like if you haven't done so already. If you hold XDC, stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss this particular segment that we have for you guys tonight. All right. We're going to kick it back into the comments for a brief bit. I want to welcome Mr. Brian Dowie. He says, "Sup, Max? Good to have you here, Mr. Brian Dowie. I'm sure you have lots of great updated news in regards to the situation with Rain." All right, let's go further down. Cool Cat Crypto says, "Nothing to see here, folks. IBM is just a meeting with BSV next week." I think he's already said that. But I like how you mentioned that. Like, nothing to see here, nothing to see. There's obviously something here to see. I think you're being sarcastic, obviously. All right. Wayne says, "Team, surfs up." Yes. Thank you to all the surfers who are connecting and watching right now. GF Burke is here. He says, "Voot, thank you again for the CTN NFT. I got it on MetaMask. Thank you so much, man. All I had to do is just turn on a few settings and it came through and I saw it. So I did verify that you get it, man. You rock. Thank you so much. That was awesome." All right. You still watch them? Yeah, I might watch them once in a while. Definitely not like when I was new to crypto. All right. Miguel says, "Hi, Max, crypto brother. Great to have you, Miguel. How you doing tonight, man?" All right. Batan Genyo 00101, because the first 00100 were taken. Welcome back. He's saying hello to Tim. And let's go further down. Glad to see you guys are welcoming each other. Michael Montclair's got an update. He bought 1,000 Caspa. What the hell? Might as well, you know what? I'm telling you flat out. So again, Papa X Mex, right? The guy that recommended Rio. In the same breath that he recommended Rio at 8 cents, and that thing popped off to like over 40 something cents at one point. And, he also mentioned Caspa, right? And of course, WASPay. And I keep mentioning I'm gonna do the proper deep dive on WASPay, and I am. But anyway, I want to welcome or read this comment from Brittany. "Max has on the cool hat again. It's old, from 7th grade. Doesn't look as nice as when it was in the 7th grade. Maybe I should show you guys the 7th grade picture of me and my little homies from back then, like 1993, 94 school year or something like that. Long time ago. All right. Dingy, I'm not dead. Well, I'm glad you're not dead because you're obviously typing something which would prove that you're not dead. But these long streams has busted my internet data. Oh, God, really? I'm sorry. You'll be back in 5 days when you get some. Oh, man, really? Man, see, I say good problems. That's not a good problem. So, I mean, here's the thing, right? Mike Cornwell could vouch for me. I added up, I don't know, what was the exact amount of hours. I'm going to look on my phone real quick, right? Hear me out, guys. Hopefully you guys stick around for this. It ain't going to take long. So, last night I said Mike Cornwell, this text. I was looking at the stats, right? And I was just like, man, like maybe I should dial back a little bit. Some people tell me this, right? So, for last week, right, if you count even last night, the last 7 days of live streaming, I put in 45 hours of live streaming. It's like having a full-time job, for crying out loud. Like 40 out, people work 40 hours, obviously, as a job. I remember when I used to work at the post office years ago. Oh my God. We would average over 82 hours a week. Now you may think that's insane because we would do 12 to 14 hour shifts every single day of the week, and you'd only get 1 day off. So you work 29 days straight, you get 1 day off, you work another 29 days straight, 1 day off. And, that's usually around like the Christmas months, right? For like 90 days, but it's insane. Absolutely insane. Yeah, you get time and a half and all that, but man, I would have dreams being at work all the time. And it was just, it's just like you're not really getting a break. I would never go back to that. I worked at the Priority Mail headquarters for the Southwest region of the United States. And literally, it felt like all of Santa Claus's mail from all the world was right there. These giant, humongous, yellow, orange pumpkin bags and 100 bays or docking bays of like semi trucks coming in, 18 wheelers just unloading all this stuff. And all they do is size people up. All right, you look strong. You pull on that stuff all day. Oh yeah, I whip you into shape and so on. Pushing and pulling all that heavy stuff. But it's just draining. Anyway, all right. I want to welcome XXI Gaming. Thank you for being here. And let's also, I mean that XXI. I don't want to just dismiss you. It's always good to see you, man. Tommy, welcome back. Glad to have you. And Michael Montclair's got an update. He's going to start posting a song every few days. That's cool. Very cool. All right. I want to also welcome Dreamer. Let's kick it back to our outline. But yeah, hello to you, fellow Kryptonian. All right. Let's jump into XDC. So let's smash that like if you haven't done so already. Let's see how we're doing on the likes. We currently had about 50 some odd people. We have 34 likes, so we could do a little bit better on the likes. Why make such a big deal about it? Because it definitely helps get it out to a broader base. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Here it is, and this is some of you guys haven't seen before. At least I don't think so. This new guy, Harley Hermanson. I'm gonna go ahead and give him a follow. He's a director of nonprofits at Elite Web3. Big XDC enthusiast, right? So he deserves a follow. I'm following him. He states, and some of this stuff you already seen, but just hear me out. This is from XDC though. So he states the EU Parliament just approved the markets in crypto assets, right? MICA. We were talking about MICA a few days ago. So in regards to crypto assets, MICA law bringing regulatory clarity, again, guys, the whole thing of clarity, to the European crypto asset industry. This is a huge step forward or towards blockchain acceptance in trade finance. See where we're going here? XDC? Absolutely. So this was posted a few days ago, but again, it's XDC, so it's still pretty new for the most part. All right, I want to show you guys something right here. Okay, so let's bring this up. There we go. I'm on the right tab. All right, so on this particular one, check out what you see here. It basically states, like it shows, blockchain and specifically XDC already has a role in this expansion. I've gone down to some of the parts I feel as though need to be highlighted. So it's not like the whole thing. All right. So yes, already has a role in this expansion in regards to, what you saw, on the previous page. It says, this is evidenced by the first trade finance NFT. I don't know if you guys are around for this, right? Sometimes, some of the guys are here every day. Some of you aren't. That's okay. So remember how I showed you guys a particular NFT and I said, this is utility-based NFT. It's also rare and all these types of things, right? So look at this. It says, there's this first trade finance NFT launched on the network back in 2019. And for instance, the trade a token, right? And it's basically tradable and regulated trade finance digital asset. And it's launched, of course, in 2022. We've had some updates in regards to some of these specific NFTs. I believe you can even, there's one that we highlighted a few days ago that's like scarce, right? You can even earn staking rewards, you name it. It's kind of crazy stuff. So it says the TFDI debates concluded that a securitization as a service, which is a real thing, solution would provide a serious platform for trade distribution expansion. Now, in regards to XDC, it says blockchain technology will most likely underpin this effort as well. Gives you a little brief, example of, the United Nations Commission back in 2017, who passed like a trade law. And if you're wondering about that trade law, it's called UNCITRAL. The reason why I mention this to you is because back then they established this model law on electronic transferable records, which is called M-Leader. And we've done a deep dive in regards to that many months ago, if you're around for that. Now, that was to promote the use of electronic records for domestic and international trade, records that would replace paper-based transferable documents. So they already had things in place a while back, going from, this transitional period of the, like for instance, we're going to have the old monetary money, fiat and so on, and we're going to have our own transition. But what about the trade sector? So that was already covered. So that's why I want to bring it to your attention. I want to remind you of this real quick. So it says in February 2023, industry leaders gathered to discuss, listen to this, guys, blueprint for digital negotiable instruments, which is called DNI, and the progress of the DNI initiative. The debate, of course, was held in Dubai during Global Trade Review's Middle East and North Africa event, which is called GTR MENA. Similar to the TFDI debates, these leaders outlined priorities needed to meet the DNI initiative's objective in promoting global adoption of M-Leader. Led by trade finance expert Andre Casterman, you guys have seen him many times, right? The Trade Tech group included members from SAB, HSBC, which gets a lot of coverage, Kariba, the Emirates NBD, SMBC, and even ITFA. And of course, we've talked about them quite a bit, but anyway, it says the group focused on achieving 3 strategic outcomes as outlined by 5 priorities for the blueprint for digital negotiable instruments. And we're going to get into that blueprint here in a bit. Now, in regards to some of this, it says it's going to increase origination volumes, generate new revenue streams. I mean, all this stuff sounds good, right? Boost the addressable market for supply chain finance. I want to show you guys just real quick some of the 5 main things from that blueprint. So here they are. They want to align policy to technological developments, right? They want, legislation, or I should just, basically, legislation for the adoption of M-Leader, right? And all this stuff is good, but look at what it states in regards to policy adoption priorities. They want to embrace new policies around electronic transferable records, the digitalization of negotiable instruments in the most interoperable way, and on top of that, add new value to the transaction level. What would be the perfect example of that, right? Let's face it, XDC, low fees, faster blockchain, some people call it the Ethereum killer, if you will, right? All good stuff. I want to talk about this for just a brief moment. So it says they want to focus on interoperability to scale and use of the new practice, right? Like I mentioned yesterday in the Jasmine video and countless other times, right? If your project can't scale, you're stuck in the mud. You know what I mean? If I have a great user experience, but you don't, your project is not scaling. There's a problem. So it says embracing interoperable technologies promotes M-Leader's scalability. Although cloud platforms and APIs perform well with industry-governed specifications and software interfaces on their own, they are not sufficient to achieve DNI's objectives. Here's an example. Digital ledger technology, as we know, DLT, and digital assets provide this asset and value transfer aspect needed to extend open banking, sharing financial data practices. Now, I might get into the last couple parts in regards to this, but here's a picture in regards to some of the blueprint negotiable instruments. They're looking to, show you what's the required policy, the new value, the benefit, and so on. I'm going to jump into this next particular page because the reason I'm going to do it is going to give you a full breakdown of what the heck they're talking about in regards to some of this. So let me get to it. And I think it's on this Indeed page, if I'm not mistaken. But you have a whole outline from Andre Casterman, so on and so forth, right? Here it is. Let me pull it up. So here it is. And of course, this is from LinkedIn originally. I've blown up as much as I could. I want to show you guys this, right? Because this is back from March 27th, right? But it's all in relation to this outline. So, I'm thinking to myself, this makes sense of why we saw, for instance, ISO 222 went live on March 20th and why XDC did very, very well. There was a whole group of people that came together, whether it was in Dubai and so on, to get the ball rolling for the trade sector while the whole rest of the world is focusing on payments. You know where I'm coming from? Hopefully you do. Check this out for a moment. All right. So it says they recently gathered institutional investors. All right. Again, you can see where I'm going with this. All right. Active or showing early interest in the trade investment class. As part of a full day event that took place in London, a panel of trade finance and trade tech practitioners debated the evolution of the blueprint. Guys, think about this. The blueprint for the trade distribution market. So, I mean, think about how big that is. I mean, that's massive. Why is that massive? Because if we're talking about regulatory clarity, which we are, what about that regulatory clarity for the the trade sector. So if you have all these top dogs from like Dubai, for crying out loud, Abu Dhabi and United Arab, basically as is the United Arab Emirates, excuse me, that particular region, all these guys come together. They had a special meeting, but a blueprint, right? So if we're talking about regulatory clarity, you have a blueprint for the trade sector. Why did this fly under the radar? There was not a lot of content creators talking about this. I'm just saying, maybe there was a couple. I don't know. I'll give them benefit of the doubt. But there wasn't a lot about this. The main topic recently was MiCA, right? And of course, that's part of our outline. But this is absolutely huge. Let's get more into this. So it says they initially produced this blueprint in 2019. Now, some people, of course, paid attention to that. And that, of course, was reported in this particular thing from GTR. We're not going to jump into that because if we do that, it will be WrestleMania. So it says this time we revisited it and they calibrated their focus. They welcomed 5 experts on stage to contribute to the strategic discussion. And look at who is part of this list. Now, I want to point this out. Citi. Later on tonight, with my quant bombshell video, which if you were, here on, I think, was it Sunday night? We talked about that big bombshell for both Quant and even Ripple, right? With what they're doing in China. But there was a particular segment where, again, something that flew under the radar, right? From Quant.network in regards to Citigroup's statement of $4 trillion for tokenization, if I'm not mistaken. So again, understand Citigroup, even though they stand out for, payments and all that stuff, they are still part of this big mix when it comes to their trade side of things. All right, some other big players here, right? Trade Tech, SMBC, right? Let's look at this person. Lawrence Anderson, head of financial institutions, EMEA Global Trade Finance. Even this person from Citi that was mentioned, Richard Evans. Who is he? He's the managing director of Global Head Trade Asset Distribution. I mean, you're literally having like the 92 dream team of trade finance people coming in and getting a blueprint together. If we're talking about regulatory clarity, they're doing a blueprint. Just hear me out. We're gonna get into some more of the juicier stuff. So this panel started by sharing widely debated market trends with you saw it, you heard it. Think about the freaking the terminology mentioned here, the words institutional audience. I'm telling you guys flat out, you cannot make this stuff up. I mean, when I say stuff like we're getting all our ducks in a row, right? Am I too far off on some of this stuff? I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. Max, you should have done the thumbnail with the tinfoil hat instead of the Phoenix Suns one. Maybe. But I think we're past the whole thing of the tinfoil hat thing. If you have people, all these guys, top dogs, coming together for a trade finance blueprint, for crying out loud. Right? So here are the highlights. They literally all met, came together, talking about all this stuff. They seem pretty happy. They seem pretty enthusiastic. That lady in the middle, right? Who was that again? Lena Russ, right? Yeah, I don't see any sad faces. Maybe because they realize what's going to happen. I was right, Lena Russ, here soon. All right, so look at this. Trade finance represents multiple investment classes. An important distinction must be made between, for instance, financial institution risk. They're talking about some of this risk. Why do they want to talk about some of this risks? Maybe because there's some bigger top dogs going to come into this whole thing soon. Maybe your BlackRocks. Just telling you flat out, guys. I'm going to read a little bit more in regards to this. I will kick it back to the comments because I realize I need to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to be an hour behind. But when I saw this earlier today, I said, oh my gosh, our CTN network fam, you guys got to have some XDC news. Jasmine dominated yesterday. We got a little bit of Jasmine. XDC, boom. It's going to dominate today. We got to find out what the heck is going on with this. Because if we're talking about regulatory clarity, and you already have one sector that's bringing, like, as I would say, the 92 dream team together to get that clarity, I try not to do so much hype because, I mean, I don't like, people just talk about hype all the time. You should have the research should, be one thing, right? That should sell itself, right? No one's trying to sell you on any of this stuff, right? It's just research. But anyway, I'm going to kick it back to the comments in just a brief moment. I'm going to read this one other thing real quick. Distribution is a separate function from, and listen to this, it supports origination. Origination starts with the obligor, right? Corporate or SME, whereas distribution starts with the originator. All right. Various digital trade platforms and bank trade portals exist in the global trade and receivables financing origination space. Those enable corporates to transact with financial institutions using a variety of risk and financial financing instruments. However, in the distribution space, the number of technology solutions is very limited, and most trade distribution platforms only tackle the financial institution risk distribution, except one. So what will be the one? Hang in there. Don't leave. Let's go back to the comments just for a brief bit. All right. So let's get more back into some of these comments. And let's see how we're doing on some of you guys' questions. You guys got some DGen talk as to be expected. I want to welcome Mr. Selmo Fudd. Glad to have you here. And let me refresh the other screen real quick, actually. Let's see if I'm not too far behind. I'm not. So, all right, let's go further down. And let's see. You wrecked so many cars and trucks. It's insane. That's okay. Nelly there says that's a pretty good driving record, Max. Yeah, I've actually had, I think, 2 tickets in my life, but I never had to pay for them. So years ago, I think it was back in 2009, they used to have those stupid radar things, right? These traps, basically. So there's this one area where naturally everybody is going to come off of the ramp, if you will, and just you're naturally going to, even if you're not even pressing on the gas, you're just going to naturally, increase your miles per hour about 15. And so this trap was there, and it flashed me. And, then I got this thing in the mail, so I had to pay for this. And I told my friend about it. I was like, what do you think about this nonsense? He was just like, come with me. He opens up his glove box, and he was just like, I want you to stick your hand in that. I'm like, I ain't sticking my hand in nothing. He's like, whatever. So he opens this thing up, and he has, I'm not even kidding you, about 13 of these tickets. I was like, you haven't paid any of those? He goes, nope, I never will. He's like, the only way they can get you is if they come and they serve you, right? He's just like, so I'm just not going to do it. I'm like, oh, well. He's like, it's up to you. I want to pay for it, but I wouldn't. So anyway, long story short, I decided not to pay for it. I got a couple of those things. And anyway, he was right. They never came after me and so on. And then literally 2 years after that happened, they changed the laws where, they found out that these things cause more accidents. They did more harm than good. And I was like, wow, that was the only 2 times I ever got tickets, and I didn't have to pay for it. So anyway. But in reality, it wasn't like I was, drag racing or speeding on purpose or doing something irresponsible. It was just these things were stupid speed traps. And I hate that crap. You know what I mean? For what? For I can help the city meet their quota, for they can have an excuse to meet a budget or something, right? Where they didn't meet other budget proposals. I mean, am I too far off? Those things happen everywhere. How do I know that? I have friends that are police officers in other states and so on. They tell me the same thing. They're like, yeah, guess what? A lot of that is to meet a budget because they had budget cuts and so on. And that's their way of making up for that budget. It's nonsense. You don't believe me? Look more into it. All right. Let's welcome Patrick Collier back. Thank you for being here. Rain says, I feel Max last year, July 25th, I got in an accident. You totaled your car. Oh, that's not good. Marvin Davis said, what's up, Max? What's up back to you? Glad to have you here. Guys, I'm sure most of you guys have done this, but if you haven't, please smash that like. Currently speaking, we're at 35 likes. So anyway. All right, let's go further down. I want to welcome back Mr. BG Crypto Dev. Thank you for being here. So what's up, fam? What's up? Is that you're here, and I'm glad to have you here. All right. Only 6 hours. Yeah, only 6 hours, right? I think my record is 5 hours and 41 minutes or something. Not looking to go that long. I'm just saying. Does anybody else laugh when you see the comments like this? Muff Man, Mr. Muff, or they just call him Muff or Elon Muff, or what's going on with, the chosen Muff? Just anything in Muff. I mean, anyway. Unbelievable. All right. All right. So Nelly there says Marvin Davis does the dabs. You follow your bay. Danelle Dixon. All right. We'll get into some of that a little bit later. Elon Muff, jeez, says 99-cent super chat, or says, thank you for the 99-cent super chat. You don't say 99-cent super chat. Maybe super sticker. Thank you for the donation. Appreciate you, Mr. Muff. All right. Yes, the Muffinator. All right. Let's see how far I am on the comments. Man, a lot of people love saying that word, don't they? All right. I want to welcome Edward Vincent, a top shelf crypto. Give him a follow on Rumble. I'll try to give you another plug later. He says, what up, Max Go Suns? Thank you very much, Mr. Edward Vincent, top shelf crypto. All right. I'm going to read 2 more comments. Got to welcome this dude, the big watch dude, who actually has watches, apparently. He says, what's good, Max? What's up, CTN fan? Glad to have you here, Mr. Big Watch Dude. All right. And I think that might be it. Oh, no, it ain't. One more from Big Watch Dude. Hey, Max, I don't know if you noticed, but someone took your Portland hat and replaced it with the Phoenix Suns hat. Yeah. So little known fact for people who are wondering about that, it's like you can't root for 2 teams. Here's the thing. I can do whatever the heck I want to do. All right. So for one, I've had this situation. Yes, I can vouch for this, where if you remember a few years back, it was Portland versus Phoenix in the playoffs. Yes, I had a conflict of interest right there. I had to root for the Blazers. Absolutely. So, my mom was alive at the time, and, she was rooting for the Suns, rooting for the Blazers and so on. So if push comes to shove and that happened again, yes, I will still root for the Blazers. But the Suns was my mom's number 1 team. It was my number 2 team and so on. And in honor and remembrance of my wonderful mother, I am definitely rooting for the Suns. So there you go. And also back in the day, as a kid, I was a huge Charles Barkley fan. Right? I had his shoes. I had his jersey. I had all that stuff. Right? And I was just like, Barkley's where it's at. I was even a fan of him back when he played for the Philadelphia 76ers. I was always a Barkley fan. I even have a Kevin Johnson jersey. But fat kid love cake, and it doesn't fit anymore. Yeah. All right. Not enough to give me mud butt, but it doesn't fit anymore. Sorry, Ran. Shout out to you, my friend. Oh yeah, Ran. Fat juicers unite. All right. I know. Black was saying, for all the new people, what the hell, right? All right. Couple more comments, and that's about it for now. Hold on. All right. Glad that Mr. Cool Cat's very enthusiastic about his BSV. Here we go. Menelect. Hello. Is it Menelect we're looking for? Lionel Richie. Yes. Thank you for being back here, Mr. Menelect. Smash that like. Glad to have you here, man. Saw some good tweets from you. Went ahead and retweeted that. All right. So with that said, let's go ahead and highlight Menelect's comment. Use it as a bookmark. Let's kick it back to our outline. All right. So on this outline, in regards to XTC, I thought there was some big stuff, big things to mention, right? So, I'm going to get back to this particular part. Parliament, right? This whole thing with the UK. And man, there's a lot of talk about the UK, right? Whether it's the Digital Pound Foundation, GV and so on. Look at this. It says the UK Parliament is actively legislating a bill to provide for electronic trade documents. And then, of course, we cover this whole thing when it comes to a lot of this, right? And XTC definitely stands out on it. We did deep dive. If you saw the video, cool, right? But there's a little bit more in regards to this. So it says, where it started and is now under consideration in the House of Commons, English law provides the historical basis for nearly 40% of the world's legal systems. Did you know that? And passage of this bill should have a wide-reaching impact on what, guys? Global trade. Now, this part, as blockchain technology becomes well established as a viable solution that works well with legacy systems and not against them, further progress will be achieved. And one is the most dynamic outcome of DNI initiative, basically. The ultimate successes will be based off this blueprint, which we're going to get into here in a second, for digitalizing many more enterprise applications across multiple sectors. So you may be wondering, like, well, Max, let's just get into that darn blueprint. All right. So we're going to do just that here in a second. But before we do, I do want to get to this part because it's worth a mention. Here's this other part of this. So I got to highlight this, and this is towards the bottom, right? And again, guys, this is real recent, right? Within the last few days. It says, notably, the ICC, which is called the International Chamber of Commerce, Trade Finance Global, and World Trade Organization, white paper, periodic table. I know it's a mouthful, right? They mentioned XDC Network Trade Finance Platform, TradeFinex. That is big. Think about what I mentioned earlier. If you missed it earlier, you literally have like the 92 dream team of these top dogs from the trade, sector all coming together. They literally did in Dubai, right? A few months back, right? So it says TradeFinex specializes in the deployment of tokenized assets. Did you know that? On public and private blockchain networks via regulatory-friendly instruments to resolve electronics bills of lading, which is that abbreviation there, issues. Also, in November 2020, the World Trade Organization introduced TradeFinex and XDC in their in their book called Blockchain and DLT in Trade. Where do we stand? All right, I'm going to go further down because it has a message, or I should say, this particular thing in regards to ISO 20022. Now, Zenfin, right? XDC Network, as we know, is global, open source, delegated proof-of-stake consensus network, enabling hybrid relay bridges, instant block finality, and interoperability, of course, with ISO 222 messaging standards. But this right here, with interoperable smart contracts, 2,000 transactions per second, we know this stuff, and Ethereum virtual machine compatibility, right? The XDC network is reported to provide a scalable infrastructure for enterprises and independent community contributors. So that outline that we had at the very beginning, we were talking about, eventually we're going to phase out going from fiat to, let's face it, crypto, right? What is that going to be like? What's it going to entail? You also got to keep in mind there was already things in motion earlier this year, actually dating back to last year, right? Technically was the framework, if you will, to fizzle out or weed out, I should say, the old system with some of the things that were outlined here. And we're going to get into that blueprint right now. So give me just a second. And some of the things I want to mention here before we get to some of the highlights, right? It says various digital trade platforms and bank trade portals exist in the global trade and receivables financing origination space. Those enable corporates to transact with financial institutions using a variety of risk and financing instruments. However, in the distribution space, the number of technology solutions is very limited, and most trade distribution platforms only tackle financial institution risk distribution except one. Now, that was the part that we paused at. I apologize. So I was going to show you what that one was, and I said, okay, hold on, we're kicking the comments. I do apologize. I just really, I reread that. So for people just connecting, I guess you got that part. All right, so Lawrence Anderson, head of financial institutions at EMEA Global Trade Finance, SMBC Bank International, states, quote, standardizing distribution practices and processes is a prerequisite for the industry to achieve scalability. Remember, we were talking about scalability earlier. The challenge, though, is to automate the distribution of corporate receivables given the high volumes of assets being sold by originators to investors. Banks, listen to this, guys, have traditionally distributed and syndicated transactions amongst themselves, but in this interbank market, it's becoming too narrow, thus the need to reach out to new liquidity providers. So why highlight some of these things? So, while I hate to, quote Coach JV, but this is a perfect example. You know how he always says, while we're looking this way, there's a whole other narrative going this way. Well, I will use that on this particular one, because while there was a narrative apparently going on for ISO 222 going live on March 20th, which we all paid attention to, right? Let's face it, I think I'm guilty of it too, right? Most of us thought that, the big players would have been like Stellar and XLM, not realizing at the same time all this other stuff going on in the background for the trade sector. So they already got this blueprint going, right? Literally, I think back to beginning of this year, and then especially like some of the big things happened in February, but they were getting that blueprint together. A little bit more in regards to this, right? I'm going to scroll down to this part. Distributing trade asset requires long-term partnerships. That's already happened too, right? Think how all the examples that we have in regards to these long-term partnerships and operational excellence, thus the need for the appropriate engagement and technology solution. Credit issuers have a key role to play to support in the new institutional liquidity providers. I mean, I don't have to like literally write it out for you. You guys already know this stuff, right? I'm not, speaking to the choir, but there's so much on this outline recently, right? You can't make this stuff up. I mean, if we went from, the hot topic of a couple weeks ago of data, then the hot topic last week is, regulatory framework. And then today is literally, regulatory clarity for we can get that institutional money coming in. And you see everything within the last few days of institutional regulatory, clarity, and from multiple sources. Why would that be? Why would that be unless they're trying to get something going? The talks of, like I mentioned earlier, a coalition, or you even saw the word mentioned, rebellion, to rise up against the likes of like the SECs and so on, right? Even talks of moving to different countries and setting up shop. Why? That way they don't have to worry about like an SEC. All right, let's read this real quick, because again, once you see that quant video, if you haven't seen or you weren't part of the live show a few days ago, you're not caught up on that. So later on tonight, after the show, you will see a premiere for that video, which is crucial, right, in regards to Citibank's recent statements with the connection with quant. So it says, Richard Evans, Managing Director, Global Head Trade, Asset Distribution of Citibank. Look at this quote. Being a major trade bank, Citibank has grown its distribution activities since years. We now want to work more closely with institutional investors. Oh my gosh. Again, guys, I just can't make this up. Here's the proof, for crying out loud. Institutional investors and are keen to contribute to further development of the industry blueprint for trade distribution. I know some guys are like, why do you talk like that, Max? Because you know what? I get excited about this stuff. There's one thing to always come on camera and harp all the time about, oh, we need regulatory clarity. Oh, we need the regulatory framework. And then from there, the next up is regulatory clarity for we can have what? Institutional investors come in and do their thing, right? Because let's face it, that's where we get the insane market caps that we're all looking forward to. That's why I pay attention to this. I know you guys pay attention to this stuff too. I'm not speaking to the choir, but there might be some newcomers that need to find out about this. And you know what? Welcome. One thing about, investing into, I don't know, something that just launched, right? That has like, a website that was put together by somebody who was like 5 years old. Nothing against 5-year-olds, right? But there's another thing to invest for that generational wealth. All right, look at this. We talk about like the 92 dream team of, top dogs for the trade sector. You can't make this stuff up. Look, the panel then debated the evolution of the blueprint for trade distribution and concluded that, look at this, growing trade distribution is strategic to close the multi-trillion funding gap. The multi-trillion funding gap. All right. Some people say, well, Max, you're not talking about, the overall crypto market cap and so on. You're trying to tie this into, the 4 or 5 trillion. Call it what you want. Shout out again to Mr. Elon Muff, aka Crypto Mike. How many times has he come into the comments and said that the quote unquote, let's just remember for a second, the quote unquote what? Maybe he'll just type it out in the comment for you guys if he's still here. And that is the utility run. Don't give two blankety blanks about the existing chart. The trade sector, through growing trade distribution of multi-trillion funding gap, also doesn't give two blankety blanks about the current chart. Why? Because they are doing what? Distributing towards that multi-trillion dollar funding gap. Oh, let's find out more about this. Trade distribution supports the originate and distribute model. Securitization as a service, right, which is SaaS, is required to bridge, listen to this, guys, you cannot make this up, banking and capital markets to democratize, democratize, here we go again, access to originate and distribute best practice. So why a blueprint for trade distribution? And that's a great question. Absolutely a great question. For one main reason. And that is, if we have to have regulatory framework, right, to get to regulatory clarity, to get to institutional money, you have to have some kind of foundation, blueprint, whatever you want to call it. The blueprint for trade distribution aims to help banks achieve 3 objectives, and boom, here they are. Smash a like if you haven't done so already. Listen to this. Accessing capital markets, increasing net interest income, and number 3, adding value to transactions as needs evolve. For example, embedding credit insurance, and ESG related features. So you have a whole sector that already is getting things going. Everybody was wondering during that time, let's face it, guys, a lot of us were speculative at that particular time. XDC was the one that moved when it came to ISO 222 going live on March 20th. If we connect the dots, which, by golly dang it, we do. We connect the freaking dots all the time. I'm telling you, the dots have been connected on this one. They have been connected 110% on this one. Why? Because they had in the trade sector a blueprint. These guys already met. You saw the evidence. You saw the dates, for crying out loud. That's why I bring this stuff to you guys' attention. I'm telling you flat out, let's pay attention to this stuff. So this lady that you saw in the picture, Lena Russ, she's the Chief Revenue Officer of Trade Tech. Listen to this quote about SaaS, right? Securitization as a service is the holy grail to scale trade distribution. It should say holy grail, right? To scale trade distribution as it's bridging banking and capital markets and democratizes access to the best practice. The holy grail of scale trade distribution? Oh my gosh, like, why aren't more people paying attention to, XDC has something to do with all this stuff. I'm telling you flat out, man. I mean, I'm not trying to sell you on your XDC. I can't give you no financial advice. But when I tell you guys that XDC, and I've been consistent about this, is my number 4, and it will never probably ever move from my number 4. Some people are like, well, after watching this, it's probably your number 3. No. I made it clear, Quant, XRP kind of tied, then it's XLM, and then it's freaking XDC. Here's some of that outline of why I'm consistent with my XDC. The blueprint can be outlined as follows, and here's the juicy stuff. We always do this stuff all the time, right? Later, I will share this, right? Actually, hold on. Let me see if I can just, I'm going to copy this. and I'll drop it in the comments. I'm also going to share it also on Twitter. Boom, there you go in the comments. All right. Look at this stuff. Trade distribution is strategic to close the multi-trillion funding gap. So when you hear about these talks in the past, were we making this whole thing up? It's like some people are saying, well, you guys have stated, it would be multi-quadrillions. Okay. All right. I hear you. But definitely, what about the multi-trillion dollar funding gap? The accessing of, capital markets, increasing net interest income. Look at this. What is this going to do with this funding gap, right? Boom. It will scale as banks engage with institutional investors. It will increase banks' net interest income and return on equity. It will drive innovation as liquidity is extended to new originators. My God, we're talking about the whole thing when it comes to, this problem that we have in the United States about how can we drive innovation in a country that can't pull their head out of their butt when it comes to understanding, distributed ledger technologies and blockchain and so on and so forth. Oh, I'm Brian Armstrong. I obviously got to, jump ship and I got to go take this thing elsewhere, a different country, Yeah, those are some of the examples. It will help SMEs access more funding. Why can't we get our elected officials to take a look into some of this stuff? It ticks me off, to be honest. So, I get the whole concept of, well, Max, calm down, pump the brakes. You got to understand that they're working in the background. And I have also stated, okay, I think you got 90% of the population completely fooled then that we're not working in the background if we're literally having the likes of Brian Armstrong and some of these other guys jumping ship to take this thing to maybe Liechtenstein or something like that, right? All right, a little bit more. Trade distribution supports the originate and distribute model. The reason why we're focusing on this is because all those times we showed you guys, for instance, the thing with quantum in the middle and, interoperability, and there's this, there's Stellar, what they do on the retail side, there's Ripple, what they do, you saw that chart. This one flat out right here is part of that blueprint, right? So we will get this out, right? I will retweet this out. Let's get this shared to everybody out there. All right. So look at this. This, in regards to trade distribution, supports the originate and distribute model. I repeated that. It enables originators of any size, guys, any size, to increase balance sheet velocity and to address capital adequacy requirements. Remember how we talked about things can't be too volatile? It has to be steady. Boom, there's one of those examples. How about this next part? It requires securitization to bridge banking and capital markets. Technically speaking, you could throw in like Nexera in that group. Alliance Block, right? How about this? Securitization as a service, like we talked about earlier, democratizes access to the best practice. They're not just going to pick anything and everything. The best practice. It can be governed by the industry as a new financial market infrastructure. Cool Cat Crypto is always talking about infrastructure. Boom. There you go. Now, these guys, they met up. They got together. They talked about some of this stuff. But for whatever reason, as you guys know, when it comes to mainstream media, they're not just going to talk about what is the highs, the lows, but not the in-between. We as a community, we got to talk about the in-between. We got to get the information about there and educate people about these particular technologies, the blueprints that are behind them, and so on. How about this? The panel demonstrated that. Listen to this, guys. This is the juicy stuff. We're talking about innovation all the time. The panel demonstrated that technology makes a huge difference as trade distribution expands from the low volume financial FI risk, right? Financial institution risk, that's what it stands for. Is syndication to the high volume receivables distribution. Features such as securitization as a service, you're going to hear that a lot, by the way. Automated replenishment and reconciliation, standardized practices, embedded value add, and also this end-to-end digital experience are critical to deliver on the three above stated objectives. I gave you that earlier. But I want to drop down to this next guy who's also part of this, what I want to call like the 92 dream team of trade finance bigwigs. Thomas Krieger, head of trade risk distribution. corporate clients lending, Commerce Bank. Listen to this part. Standardization is critical, and he urges the industry to align around industry standard practices. Oh my gosh. You are literally seeing that. What was it earlier? Who stated, I am going to make a coalition. Remember on that previous, I call it slide because I teach too much. Not the slide, but you know what I mean? The other tab, the other particular website. That lady, Henry Brown, right? Share that, right? So you saw that. Now you see this. Again, we're connecting the dots. The dots have literally been connected. I know I'm excited about this. I mean, I need to calm down, but look at this. Standardization is critical, and he urges the industry to align around the industry standard practices. So if you have this quote unquote a coalition, or remember that word that they use, a rebellion, for crying out loud, are we too far off? Is this all, conspiracy theory nut job stuff? Tinfoil hat moments? No, it's not. We're beyond that now. Look what it says. As a very active market participant, Commerce Bank does not want to connect to multiple bilateral distribution platforms, but prefers a marketplace to develop as a reference platform. And this is not, we're not even freaking scratching the surface here. Maybe I do have to go a little bit longer on tonight's show. I don't know. I do want to watch the Suns game, but I want to get more into this. And if we don't have time for the Jasmine segment or XLM, I swear we'll save it for tomorrow. Or maybe Thursday, because technically tomorrow is Utility Talk Now. Shout out to Sean Christopus. But we'll get into some of this stuff. But I'm telling you, when I said that XDC is going to dominate for tonight, oh my gosh, it has to. All right. So this next particular part, we'll just talk about for just a brief moment, and I will kick it back in the comments. Those capabilities are outlined below in regards to the three big things I was mentioning. We'll get into it in a bit. Hopefully you enjoyed this segment. Telling you flat out, man, this whole TFD initiative blueprint for trade distribution, if you understand it, then I don't even need to preach to the choir, right? If you don't get it, learn more about it. If you don't know what XDC is and you're just tuning in, I'm telling you flat out, as the saying goes, do more of your own research about XDC. Because, man, I'm telling you flat out, XDC is it's one of those ones that I've always, when I first found out about it, again, shout out to some of you guys from over a year ago. When I started reading more about XDC, it just became that much more impressed. Like, you know what? These guys are right. This is part of the generational wealth that we're always talking about, whether it's Quant, XRP, XLM, HBAR, some of the other ones. This is part of that portfolio. All right, I'm going to jump back into the comments. Thank you to everyone who's here tonight. Let's get into some of this stuff. All right. Let me double check the other page. I know that we don't exactly have like the greatest turnout, but I'm very thankful for each and everybody who's here. I understand there's some other shows going on as we speak, right? So let's see what we have here. All right. So it looks like I'm doing good on the other page. I didn't miss anything specifically. All right. Let's go further down. And I want to welcome Mr. Cars and Crypto. Thank you for being back here today. Good goals, Brazilian booty. I mean, everybody's got goals. And if Brazilian booty is your goal, then you know what? Me and Rain will, toast our fat juice to you. Right, Ran? Right. All right. Let's see here. Live streaming. Live stream is love to some people. All right. Coolcast says, honestly, the Suns on paper have the best team. Yeah, on paper. They still got to prove themselves more. They got to get to that next round. See what happens. Yeah, he is very, very hungry for a title. And I also think that he's playing with ongoing injury. Let's just be real about that. I also want to welcome back Mr. Sammy from Alabama. Polygon about to explode. Research it. I have. It's a win-win to the moon run. I keep saying this. That thing with the ZK EVM, some people say, well, how come it hasn't happened already? It will, right? Just on the surface, research more about ZK EVM. You'll come to the conclusion that is such a big deal when it comes for devs. If we're talking about utility being used, that's massive. All right. Let's see here. If Paul and Durant can stay healthy, they have a shot. I agree. Durant has that championship experience they need. I totally agree with you on that. All right. Let's go further down. I think I'm way behind on some of the comments, obviously. 724. All right. Let's see what we got here. Want to welcome Josh. He said, don't miss out on cell frame, quantum resistant encryption for layer 1. Quantum computing is the threat to crypto, so investing in protection will be huge. All right. Thank you for that update, and welcome back, Mr. Josh. All right. Let's go further down. According to Elon Musk from Twitter, we have made some updates to our privacy policy to reflect that Twitter Inc. is now X Corp. Ooh. All right. Thank you for sharing that. And let's see. Let's go further down. And a spin on one of Larry's bidets. My God. All right. Cool Cat says, I drive like a complete lunatic, so naturally you're going to total a few vehicles. At least you're honest about it, right? All right. Twitter X or Twitter is not, yeah. And silence, LOL. I'll have to look more into that. That sounds interesting. Michael Montclair says, now they will suspend your license thanks to new blockchain technologies and law enforcement. I'm going to try that with the power bill. All right, let me see here. Muff states, later the future, we chat of America and beyond. All right. Floki needs to be brief on this name change. Interesting stuff. Is that a real cupcake? Oh, boy. You identify as a whisker biscuit. All right. I'm going to go further down. At least you guys had some fun with your DGen talk while I was doing my spiel, I guess. All right. Let's go further down. Matty B, welcome back. He says, no, I'm not Station 2. No, where was I born, USA, but I live in it. Or you live there. All right. The Crypto Jedi says, hello all. What, almost said Guten Tag. Glad to have you back, Crypto Jedi. You're born in the USA and you went to Italy with your father and then you came back. Oh, that's cool stuff. All right, let me check. Okay, never mind. I'm not going to check. All right, I'm gonna go further down. I want to welcome back Counterparty Risk. Welcome back. Glad to have you. That's a good question. Maybe somebody, you know what? Maybe you should make a crypto for that. That would be funny if his name was Joe Katz, huh? All right. Crypto Jedi says, Max bought some more Rivian stock today. You might buy some more tomorrow. Prices keep dropping. All right. I am actually kind of done buying some stock for a while. I used to, back in 2021, I bought quite a few. Had obviously a lot better luck with crypto. All right. Crypto Market Track says, hit that like for Max. Thank you, man. Crypto Market Track, do you have a YouTube channel? And if so, we'll try to at least give you a plug real quick. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for the like. All right. Marvin Davis, XCC is a sleeping bona fide monster along with GBEX, Stronghold, and APL. Thank you for that, Marvin Davis. I think I'm finally getting to the part where maybe some people are recognizing what I was, saying. Tim Shea, great stuff, Max. Thank you. Thank you very much. I saw this earlier and I was like, man, I got to share this with the guys. I mean, all you guys, gals, all you guys. Rumor is BlackRock is 13 trillion in trouble. Yeah. And if that's the case, just kind of like part of the outline, who will take on that debt? I don't need to preach to you guys. You guys know what's going on with this stuff. The Cool Cat thinks about things like infrastructure. Yeah, I know. You always point that out. All right. That rock girl? Which rock girl? Marvin Days. Oh, wow, Michael. Holy, you know what you don't say. BlackRock, Blackwater, coincidence. And some good coincidences. Marvin, I sent Max a YouTube video. Might not be able to share it today. I know what you're talking about from earlier. We'll try to get that, more review for you and bring it to you guys maybe tomorrow or the next day. But thank you for sharing that. All right. Cool Cat keeps mentioning this. Never mind the one that's meeting with IBM next week. Just talk about XDC. Sure. Well, how about this, man? I'm not gonna just talk about something in which you know, I was gonna share your one thing, you know, about IBM, but you know, am I supposed to just like, oh, hey, guess what, guys? I'm just gonna drop everything I'm doing right now, and I'm just gonna focus on what Cool Cat wants me to look at. And I don't. I'm just gonna be reading articles on stuff and just reading verbatim on things I didn't review earlier. At least on this, I reviewed it earlier. Hello. All right, Marvin Davis, cool, wow, huge. Know what you hold, fam. And knowing that I'm on limited time, so I might just go ahead and end this here soon. So let's see here. All right, could be bull hype. Yeah. All right. Yep, I think I'm gonna do that. So with that said, it's been a great show. I'll show you guys a little bit more in regards to XDC tomorrow, and maybe some other things from BSV. Y'all have a great night. Take care. Thanks to everybody that was here tonight. Have a good one.